Today, we're pulling back the curtain on high finance. We're going to get inside the mind of a dealmaker to really understand one of their most powerful tools, the leveraged buyout, or LBO. We're going to see exactly how these deals get done from an insider's point of view.
It sounds impossible, right? Like some kind of trick question. But it's not. This is the very foundation of some of the biggest corporate takeovers you've ever heard of. And by the end of this explainer, you'll get exactly how this engine works. Okay, let's dive in. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the 6 stages of the playbook. We'll start with the goal, then talk leverage, the buyout itself, the transformation phase, and of course, the big exit. Finally, we'll put it all together. This is the entire strategy, A to Z. First things first. Before we get into how any of this works, we need to be crystal clear on the why. From the liquidator's point of view, every single move, every decision is all engineered for one single purpose: to generate a massive, massive return on a surprisingly small initial investment. This right here, this is the engine that drives the entire process. It's a simple, repeatable 5-step loop. You borrow money, you buy a company, you use its cash to pay down your debt, you streamline it to make it more valuable, and then you sell it. We're going to break down every single part of this powerful cycle. Let's get into the first and honestly the most critical piece of the whole puzzle, leverage. You can think of this as the secret ingredient, the financial firepower that makes everything else possible. So what exactly is a leveraged buyout? Well, the name kind of gives it away, doesn't it? You are leveraging borrowed money, that's debt, to buy out a company. It's that simple. The name tells you the whole story. So where does the money come from? Just look at this chart. A buyer, or what we're calling the liquidator, might only put in about 10% of their own cash. That's the small slice you see, the equity. The other 90%, the huge chunk, is borrowed money. But here's the kicker. That tiny 10% stake gives them control over 100% of the company. And this lays it out perfectly. It's cause and effect. The cause? Taking on a mountain of debt. But the effect, and this is the whole point, is gaining total control. You now call all the shots. Who gets hired, what gets sold, how the whole operation is run. In this game, control is everything. Okay, so you've lined up the financing, you've got your leverage, now you actually need a target. This is the moment you identify the right company and you execute the purchase. This is when you officially get the keys to the kingdom. But you can't just buy any company. From the liquidator's perspective, the perfect target has some very specific traits. First and foremost, it needs a stable, predictable cash flow. Why? Because that cash is what you're going to use to pay back all that debt you just took on. You're also looking for a business that's maybe a little inefficient, one where you can see a clear path to cut costs or sell off a few non-essential parts to generate some quick cash. All right, this is where the real work begins. And honestly, this is where all the value is really created. You own the company, now you have to transform it. The main goal here is to turn the company's own cash flow into a powerful engine for paying down your acquisition debt. Okay, take a look at this. This is day 1, right after the buyout. See that giant red bar? That is the new debt you've just placed on the company's books. And next to it, in green, is the company's current cash flow. As you can see, there's a big gap we need to close here. So what's the plan? The strategy is all about one word: streamline. You cut unnecessary costs, you improve processes, you make the whole business as efficient as humanly possible. The entire focus is on one thing: making that green cash flow bar grow. And here's the result of that work. After you've spent some time streamlining, watch what happens. That green bar is now significantly taller. The company is now a much more efficient cash-generating machine. But notice, the debt is still there. Now, pay close attention, because this is the crucial point. This is the part most people completely miss about LBOs, and it's the secret that makes the whole machine work. You use the target company's own money, its own increased cash flow, to pay for its own purchase. All that extra green cash gets pointed like a fire hose directly at that red debt bar. And now look at the final transformation. By using that powerful cash flow engine, you've aggressively paid down the debt. Notice how that red bar has shrunk way down? The company's now financially healthier, it's more profitable, and because of all that, it's significantly more valuable than when you first bought it. So after a few years of all this transformation, it's time for the final, and let's be honest, the most lucrative step from the dealmaker's perspective: the exit. This is where you cash out and actually realize the profit from all that hard work. $600 million. Just let that number sit there for a second. That is the kind of payoff we're talking about. Now, let's break down exactly how a return like that is even possible. The math is actually pretty straightforward. Let's say you sell this new and improved company for $1.2 billion. Okay, first, you use that cash to pay off whatever debt is left, in this case, $500 million. Then, you pay yourself back for your initial investment, that original $100 million. And what's left over? That's your profit. A $600 million return on just $100 million investment.
So, let's run through the entire playbook one last time just to lock in the core logic. Because once you really get how this engine works, the world of high finance starts to make a whole lot more sense.
Here it is again, that 5-step engine. You borrow to get leverage. You buy to get control. You use the company's own cash flow to pay for itself. You streamline it to increase its value, and then you exit to realize that value in the form of a massive return. Borrow, buy, use cash flow, streamline, exit.
And that's really the key takeaway here. An LBO isn't just a financial trick. It's a process of total transformation, where debt is the tool you use to get control, and the company's own cash becomes the fuel that creates immense value.
So now you get it. You have the insider's playbook. It kind of makes you look at the business world differently, doesn't it? The next time you look at a company, you might just find yourself thinking, hey, is there stable cash flow there? Is there room to streamline? Now that you know how the engine works, what kind of company would be your perfect LBO target?